Hello, everyone. This is Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and welcome to the Mad Science Lab podcast. Today, we're going to continue with the My Tiers series. And anyone who follows me, you know I have a player profiler guy on today. How do you know that? I've got my Bozo the Receiver shirt on, taking a shot at Steve Smith anywhere I can. But today I have one of my favorites. We have Theo. Theo, thanks for joining me.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Aaron. Thanks for having me on, man.
All right, you want to take a quick second to tell everyone where they can find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on the Sonic Truth Dynasty podcast on Tuesdays with Matt Kelly and Alan Sislowski. You can find me on First Class Fantasy with Billy Muzio on Thursdays. You can find me once a week in the Goat District. We've been streaming on Wednesday evenings, and then I have a new podcast coming up on Player Profiler probably sometime mid-June called Press Coverage that we're getting excited about. And you can find my written work on Player Profiler as well.
I swear every time I look at one of the profiler shows, I'm like, oh, I wonder who's on with Matt. Oh, it's Theo. I wonder who's on with Maddie today. Oh, it's Theo. Who's on with Cody? Oh, shit, it's Theo. You're on every channel. Hey.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot. It's been an awesome start to the off season, and we've got a lot of great stuff planned for the summer. So it's been awesome. We went to the draft. The draft was fantastic, and
you guys looked exhausted by day 3, man.
Yeah, day three was exhausting. It's hard to be on air that long. As you know, when you're on these podcasts, it's a lot of attention to detail, and it was a group effort. It was very good, and I know you're excited for the draft next year, right in your backyard.
Yeah. By day 3, I always forget the other guy's name who was there. Who was the guy who was a roster watch?
Alex Dunlap.
By day 3, you should have just kept feeding him booze and let him run the show. By day 3, when he was drinking, he was fucking hilarious. He was just sitting there giving a hot take after hot take. I didn't even care about the draft coverage at that point. I just wanted to watch him say hilarious shit. He was really going good. So
yeah, he's a sharp guy. He's a sharp guy for sure, and definitely had a nice time hanging out. And shout out to Roster Watch.
Yeah, minus the sewage backup. That was fun.
That was not that fun, but we stayed on air for a little bit of it, and the basement became unusable. But other than that, it was fine.
I was watching it live because I was supposed to be on the mock draft they were doing after the show, and all of a sudden they said, "Oh, we think we're going to have to delay." And I'm like, everyone in the chat's going, "What the fuck's going on?" And then nobody knew it. You see Jack come walking by like this, and we're going, "Oh shit, something blew." So
yeah, that's we had the basement set up really nicely. And I had a nice bedroom down in that basement as well. A couple of us got displaced, but that's you never know when you're on the road how it's going to be. And I think we recovered pretty well.
Yeah, the show looked better upstairs, I thought, actually.
Yeah.
The best was you had the lobby where Cody was set up. You could see Maddie in the background through the glass door losing his mind. It was hilarious. It was a good setup. So
yeah, it was a really, really fun time. It was great to get to see a lot of guys in person, and I got to go to the draft during the first round, and we had amazing access. I got to talk to Bijan a little bit, and
that must have been sweet.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool to get. I don't want to bother any of the players too much, but with Bijan, I had to give him a little bit of a bump, and I had to give him. I just wanted to to basically say what's up because we've been so bullish on him, and we have such high hopes for him. As to what a dominant player he's going to be in fantasy. And that was cool. That was cool for sure.
I would have showed up with my Roshan Johnson fan club stuff.
Yeah, Roshan, you would have had to wait around though. You would have waited around.
People would be like,
why is this dude wearing Roshan for day one?
Yeah, but he wouldn't even been there for most of it. So
he landed well though. He landed well.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is going to be a bit of a longer one because of the receivers. So let's get into it. We got your tier set up for redraft. We will get right into it and start with Davante Adams. What do you think here?
So I'm going to put him in the second tier, not the top.
Great. All right. Yeah, that's pretty much where I had him too. I think he's we did one of these yesterday for Dynasty, so age played a little bit more. I think he was the middle of tier 2 for Dynasty. I think he's right at the top of tier 2 for redraft. Then we had the guy.
It's just a little bit of a more of a beat up situation this year, despite his incredibly dominant play last year.
Oh yeah, that's assuming Jimmy's the quarterback. Who the hell knows with that situation right now? But
It's a
Then
mess.
we have Jordan Addison.
So Addison, let's put him in the. I'm not sure how deep we're going here. So let's put him in the bottom, the second to bottom, or we could put him in the average tier. Let's put
Yeah.
him in average. See where it goes.
Yeah, I found we only go, I think it's 36 or 40. So I think yesterday we only ended up with maybe 2 or 3 guys in the bad tier. So 90%. It tells you though why everyone drafts running back, wide receivers in rounds 4 to 8. There were probably 3/4 of the guy ended up in the good to average tier. It was just one big clusterfuck. So
it's a great year for wideouts in the league for sure. It's a good year to be aggressive with them, especially the way where running backs have been getting drafted in FFPC and Underdog. You can definitely find some values to go with those high-end receivers. All right, who do you have, Aaron?
Brandon Ayuk.
Let's put him in the good. I'm bullish on Ayuk.
All righty. Keenan Allen.
Stick him in the good.
Good. All right. Moving along. AJ Brown.
So I'm going to put AJ Brown in the second highest tier, but I'm going to put him ahead of Devontae Adams.
Yeah, see, for us, we were talking yesterday, and we almost wanted to create like an elite to great bridge tier, because I think he's kind of the bridge here between, he's not the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, but he's kind of, I have him a little better than Devontae Adams. So.
Yeah, I think that's fair. For me, I have him 8 overall in terms of like my overall rankings. I'm ahead of market on AJ, but I still think that there's a difference between him and the guys we're going to stick in that elite tier.
I was the AJ Brown guy for probably the first 3 years of his career. I had him everywhere, but now I'm not out on him. I never pay up the price. Between every time I needed him in any league, he was injured or put up a 2. AJ burned me too many times and let me down when I needed him. So now I find I fade him a lot just because of that. We got Treylon.
Treylon, put him next to Addison.
All righty. Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase at the very top.
That's an easy one. An interesting one here. Amari Cooper.
So Amari Cooper, I'm going to put in the good category. I would put him ahead of both Brandon Ayuk and Keenan Allen for now. I think like that offense could take a big step forward, and he was very good last year as a wide receiver 1. It's year 2 there, and we expect Deshaun Watson to play better. And stylistically, I think they could be a little bit more aggressive, and the division is shootouty.
Yeah, I'm targeting him a lot. He seems very undervalued for someone who it was kind of sneaky, the production he had last year.
For sure.
Stephon Diggs.
So Diggs, I'm going to go ahead and put in that tier with behind AJ Brown, and I think ahead of Devontae Adams right now for me.
Fair enough. That's exactly where I was thinking too. This one, it took us probably 3 minutes in the middle of the show because they don't let you label them on here. Took us 3 minutes to figure out who the mystery man here was. That would be Jahan Dotson.
So I'm going to put Jahan Dotson with Addison and Burks.
Okay, got a specific spot, or it doesn't really matter. But
so for those guys, I'm probably Burks and Dotson right ahead of Addison, but I would want exposure to all of them. I think that they all have high-end outcomes, but I think at the end of the day, Burks has the highest, he's going to have the highest percentage of targets among those guys, even though the offense could be a little bit beat up in Tennessee. He's going to get a huge target share.
Yeah, I moved them around a bit, but it doesn't really matter. We're more focusing here on the tiers. It doesn't really matter where they rank in the tiers.
Sure.
All right, we've got back-to-back Bucks here. Mike Evans.
Mike Evans is a little bit tricky. I think that he's probably in the average tier this year, where we're used to taking him in the good tier. Godwin, I will stick in the good tier because I think his game meshes a little bit better with Baker Mayfield, and I don't know if they're going to be able to support multiple weapons there. At the end of the day, though, I mean, we'll see how the average tier looks. Evans is like when Evans starts falling to the late 7th round in FFPC drafts, he's super intriguing.
That is exactly where I ranked both of them, and I believe the exact logic I put on it. I just think Godwin works better with whoever is the quarterback here.
And he was a little better last year in general. Godwin was just a little more consistent and better. Mike Evans was disappointing last year. Godwin beat his ADP, where Mike Evans was getting drafted very highly last summer because there was the Godwin injury fears.
Yeah, exactly.
Godwin, so.
All righty, T. Higgins.
T. Higgins, I'm going to put in the good tier behind Devontae Adams, Diggs, and Brown.
Oh, you mean great? Okay.
Great. Sorry, the great tier. Yeah,
it's all right. I had him moved up to great, and then you said good, and then Devontae Adams, and I'm like, wait, I think he means great.
the light the lighter color purple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. We've got Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill for this one is almost in his own tier. I wish you had a tier between like Jamar Chase and let's put him at the very top though.
That's what I
Tyreek
said.
Hill,
We
yeah.
need the bridge for AJ and Tyreek here because they're not quite elite, but they're better than great.
But
we need to come up with a bridge.
I'll put Tyreek at the elite because I think he's for me, he's behind Chase and Jefferson, but he's still ahead of like the other guys. Like I'm considering Tyreek Hill at the 103 this year when the other two big wide receivers are gone.
Are you confident in Tua then? His ability to play, or that concern you at all?
I think Tua right now might be getting drafted like towards the top range of his outcomes. Where he's steamed up so much. Like last year, you were getting Tua like quarterback 17, quarterback 18, and then he really beat his ADP. But I do think that the Miami Dolphins offense is very easy to kind of figure out. I think that Waddle and Hill are both going to combine for like 55% of the targets. And it's such an efficient offense, even though both guys are going much higher than they were last year in terms of ADP. I think they could both still hit. I think they're both very safe picks. But Tua, I don't know. I question the like he doesn't really have any rushing upside. You're kind of dependent on a lot of touchdown passes. Yeah. And then there's also in the back of your mind the concussion concerns. So if you like Tua, you could wait and take like Kirk Cousins and get him much cheaper and have the same kind of top end, touchdown production. But you could, avoid taking him in that range. So I don't know. He's kind of a weird range for me right now.
I was going to say we have back-to-back Cardinals, but that's not true anymore. We have Hollywood Brown for the Cardinals.
Hollywood Brown, I want to put in the good, but I think we'll put in the average just because of the quality of the offense. Yeah,
because it might be Clayton Tune for the first 8 weeks.
It might be ugly. It might be Driscoll, which would be even worse.
Oh, is he even on the roster? I thought it was Colt McCoy. I didn't even know that.
McCoy is still hurt. It's Driscoll they signed, and I think at the end of the day,
that's gross.
Yeah, it's terrible. But if they're trying to win game 1, you might throw Driscoll out there and just try to run the ball with the quarterback design rushes and a lot of James Conner and Hollywood Brown getting a 40% target share.
Jesus. All right, so it might be good for our next guy, DeAndre Hopkins, who has escaped that mess. I know this one's going to be tough because you don't know where the hell he's going.
So let's take the optimistic approach that he lands in Kansas City and let's put him in the great tier. Yeah. I think he'll be the back end of the great tier if he's in Kansas City. If he goes to Buffalo, I think it damages him a little bit and it damages Diggs a little bit, where Diggs would move down this great tier and D-Hops would probably be like towards the top of the good tier. Again, he'd still have a very good outcome, but Kansas City, where he'd be the clear wide receiver 1 with also playing next to Travis Kelce, I think would actually help him. And I think he would be fantastic with Mahomes. I hope it happens.
The next one, no analysis needed. I will just move Justin Jefferson into the elite tier for you.
That's good.
I don't think that's too controversial. We got Jerry Jeudy, though.
Jerry Jeudy's a little bit funny. I think that he might be getting overdrafted right now. I think he's probably in the good tier. We saw him end the season last year on such a tear. We know a little bit more about what he can do now than, let's say, Treylon Burks and Jahan Dotson. And I think the offense is going to be a little bit better than what we're going to see in like Arizona with Hollywood. We'll put Jeudy in the good, but I have a lot of reservations there.
We go from the overdrafted to probably the underdrafted in Deontay Johnson.
So Deontay Johnson, I think we put in the average tier towards the back half. He still had 3 straight years with 140 or more targets, so it's hard to really push him down.
Fair enough. JSN,
let's put in the back end of the average. I'm ahead of market on him.
Yeah, I don't think his landing spot's as bad as everyone thinks. I think he'll produce just fine.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Christian Kirk.
Let's put him in the back end of the good.
All right. Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp's got to go to the great. I don't put him in the elite because I have reservations about the Rams offense. Like, let's put it like this. He could probably go in the elite.
Yeah.
But I have him slightly behind AJ Brown because it's just like a complete opposite thing here where AJ Brown, the quality of the offense is just so good. Cooper Kupp, we know he's fantastic, but we have reservations about it.
I think we're going to see Stetson Bennett at some point this year, and that's why I have reservations about it, because Matt Stafford there, I do not like his health status.
Yeah.
All right. CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb, let's put right behind Kupp, right ahead of Diggs.
Perfect.
I'm very, very high on him.
Yep, I agree there. Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett, I want to keep kind of close to Jackson Smith and Jigba, because I'm going to be a little bit below market on Lockett, because I think that JSN is the biggest threat to him.
I think they're closer than everyone is ranking them. Drake London.
Drake London, that's somewhere between good and average, but let's put average, but put him at the very top of the average.
Sounds good. He's another one where I was, after, like, he had a decent rookie year. I was amazed at how highly he's being drafted everywhere.
Well, I think that he's an elite talent. He had top 10 draft capital, and if you look at the target share, it was there. And
yeah,
you know,
they don't throw the ball.
So in Arthur Smith's first year with Matt Ryan behind center, they threw the ball a ton. Not a ton, but a ton more in comparison. They had like over 100 pass attempts more than we saw last year. So maybe it's a little bit closer to what it was. And I think they're actually going to target Bijan a little bit too. So maybe it opens up the offense. But yeah, if it's like it was last year, he's definitely going to bust at ADP. So we'll see. Sometimes he's got to bet on the talent though. And London is super talented.
All right. Next up, we have the low-end wide receiver 2, who gets drafted as a low-end wide receiver 1 every year. Terry McLaurin.
So McLaurin, I think that Dotson's a real threat to him. I'm going to put Terry McLaurin behind Christian Kirk in the good. But I think that him and Dotson should be a little bit closer in ADP.
There he is.
Yep, there you go.
I was looking in the wrong tier. I said, where the hell is Christian Kirk? All right, we got DK Metcalf.
So DK Metcalf, I want to put right behind D-Hops. I think DK Metcalf took a big step forward last year. He had 140 plus targets. He had the most targets he's ever seen, and he's right in his prime. And I think that JSN is less of a threat to him than he is Lockett.
Love it. Next, we have a guy where I am nowhere near consensus on this. I am much lower on DJ Moore. How about yourself? Where do you want him?
I want to believe in DJ Moore. I'm going to put him on the back half. I took him the other night at the end of the fifth, where did I take him? I think I took him with the 502 maybe. Oh. So I'm still okay with DJ Moore. I think that at the end of the day, Chicago's going to take a step forward as an offense. I think he's going to be a huge part of it. So despite the concerns we have about the passing volume, I think that there's a path for DJ Moore. I think they're going to manufacture touches for him. So let's put him right behind McLaurin.
I don't mind him in the 5th. I'm seeing him going like the 3rd, third, early 4th. That's too high for me. I'm out.
I agree with you on that. There's better picks there, but when he's in the 5th, he's very interesting.
Someone I would rather have next, Chris Olave.
Olave, I'm going to go put. Let's put Olave right ahead of T. Higgins.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah, Olave. I think Olave will be a top 10 wide receiver this year. I feel like it's low hanging fruit because everybody loves Olave, but we love him for a reason.
Now we have George Pickens, who will score very few fantasy points, but makes really pretty catches. Where do you like him?
I'm not ready. I'll put him right next to Deontay Johnson. I think that let's put him right behind Hollywood. Okay. So Pickens, every single second-year receiver historically under Mike Tomlin that has draft capital has taken a big step forward. There's only one of them who didn't, was Chase Claypool, and the reason that happened was not because of usage.
Because he's a goofball?
No, it was because of touchdown scoring. His second year, like Claypool, year 1 was fantastic. And then year 2 takes a step back in production because of the touchdown scoring. So like Pickens is going to have an opportunity. I don't think it's a kind of guy we want to close the door on. But yeah, I do agree with you. Last year he did have trouble separating. Yeah. But in year 2, I think he could take a step forward, and I think Pickett will be a little better this year.
Just being drafted pretty high.
Yeah, for sure.
Pittman.
So Pittman, let's put in the. He's pretty close to. Let's put him behind DJ Moore in the good category.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's some concerns with Richardson, but I think rookies
Yeah,
will
exactly.
Richardson will probably have tunnel vision for him at least the first few weeks while the offense is new. So that could be a boon to him in terms of target share to start the year.
Now for an interesting one, Calvin Ridley. I find people are either really high or really low. There's no middle ground on Calvin Ridley.
So I'll put Ridley right next to Kirk, right ahead of McLaurin. The thing is, I think Jacksonville could have a top 5 offense. So even if Ridley's getting overdrafted, I think there's going to be potential spike weeks for Kirk and Ridley. I think that just my general consensus is that Kirk is right there neck and neck with him. And I think a lot of people have Ridley as like the clear alpha there, despite Kirk playing really, really well last year.
It sounds like it's going to be frustrating to own unless you have them in best ball. Never know who's going to spike.
I don't know. I think it's one of those things where I think they're both going to hit, wide receiver 2, like low end wide receiver 2 numbers.
Okay.
But the
Jacksonville to go around.
Jacksonville's going to score a ton of points, I think, this year. So yeah, I would not be shying away from Jaguars.
Debo.
Let's put Debo right. Let's put Debo definitely ahead of Ayuk. I'd put Debo probably ahead of Cooper. I think Debo could have a big year this year, and I think we've seen it with him where he's had a 20-point per game season. I think McCaffrey obviously keeps him down a little bit in terms of the manufactured touches, but he's still a guy who could have a spike week and a big bounce back year this year.
Do you worry as to who's the quarterback? I assume you like him better with Purdy than if it's Lance or even Darnold.
So I think the Darnold one is an interesting question because Darnold, I'm not sure if they would do things differently stylistically with Purdy and Darnold.
No, seems like it'd be a pretty basic offense that way.
But in terms of efficiency, I think we believe in the offensive scheme, and I think they'll move the sticks well with Debo and Kittle and McCaffrey and then Ayuk. And Darnold actually was willing to take shots downfield, like historically. So I'm bullish on the 49ers to win a lot of games and score some points. I'm hoping it's Brock Purdy for the majority of the year for fantasy, but if it was Darnold the first week of the year, it's not like I'm benching 49ers.
Devontae Smith,
let's put in the great tier. I would put him ahead of D-Hops and ahead of DK Metcalf.
Perfect.
Yeah, like you can make an argument for higher, but I think that's about right.
Yeah, no, that's about the right range. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra, I'm going to put right next to Stephon Diggs, right ahead of Devontae Adams.
I like it. Oh, we might have our first low one here. Cortland Sutton.
I mean, I'll put Cortland Sutton in the bad category because I have no interest in drafting him.
I think he was our first. We had him in bad, and I think we had Pickens in below average yesterday. Most of them, like I said, you have actually a lot more in the great category. I think I found yesterday we had a ton in the good and average. So
for me, I think it's just the way that I'm drafting this year. I think there really will be about 15 wide receivers selected in the first 2 rounds.
Well, there looks like there might be 30 wide receiver 2s this year. It's a kind of a good year for wide receiver.
100%. And I think you lean into that when you're drafting right now.
Yeah. All right. Jalen Waddle.
So Jalen Waddle for me should go right ahead of Chris Olave.
That's where I had him.
Yeah. He's fantastic.
This one, I don't know what to make of. I've acquired a few shares of him. I traded him. I know it sounds terrible, but I have a team that's really straight up rebuilding. I traded away Cooper Kupp for Watson in a first. Everyone laughed at me like I was insane, but I'm rebuilding. I'll take Watson in the first. I don't know what to make of him though. Where do you like him here?
I'm bullish on him. I'm going to put him ahead of Michael Pittman because I think that he's got a explosive upside in terms of target share and in terms of touchdowns scored. I think he'll mesh okay with Jordan Love. And I think that Watson's the kind of guy that it's a little bit boom bust, but his potential outcome is very high.
I like it. All right, Mike Williams.
I don't think he's. I worry about Mike Williams because of the Quentin Johnson addition, and Mike Williams is already sub 20% target share. I would put Mike Williams. Let's put him right behind Lockett.
All right. If you had Quentin Johnson, would you have him above or below Mike Williams? We didn't go that far down. I would go
ADP. I would go below, but I think that with the injury history of Mike Williams, Quentin Johnson is very intriguing.
Yeah. We have a final one here is Garrett Wilson, another high end.
So Garrett Wilson, I'll put him right ahead of Devontae Adams. And I think I should probably move Waddle up. I mean, we're doing tiers, so it's not that important. But like Garrett Wilson, Garrett Wilson and Waddle are I'm super, super bullish on, and Olave. I think those three guys, like if you're picking in the second round, those three are fantastic.
Well, I won't keep you much longer because we ran a little long because I was talking. Is there anything here that stands out to you?
No, not really. I mean, I'm very bullish on the wide receiver position this year. I think there's a lot of quality there. I think that it's a lot of my teams are going to look like hero RB type builds, because I think that you can really, really build a powerhouse by drafting like 3 wide receivers in your first 4 rounds, just the way that the market's shaking out. So FFPC and FFC, that's probably the way I'm drafting.
And I've even noticed that I did a lot of the FC Eliminator for Fantasy Cares. I give in like 10 of those. And I've noticed that, like, I tried to get Chase and Jefferson if I had an early pick. But if I don't, I find that I have a large... I don't think I own any 2 of these guys. It's just there's such a wide variety of players here. I'm always just happy taking someone in the great to good range. And I end up with probably 3 or 4 of the guys in this, 24 wide receiver group here. So if you miss out on the top 2 or 3 elite ones here, I think it's the moral of the story here is be patient, because it's pretty damn deep and there are a lot of options that could be useful.
Yeah, it's just a matter of those 3 top guys could end up with being such a cheat code that, you know, even if you have the volume, it might be difficult to overcome. That's why you have to really start betting on a guy in tier 2, you know, have conviction and bet on a horse and run with it, because I think that a guy from that second tier, your great tier, could be wide receiver 1 overall. And I think there'll be a little more clarity as the summer moves along as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Theo, thank you for joining me. It was a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me, Aaron. I enjoyed it. It was awesome, man.
Once again, you want to tell everyone where they can find your work?
Yeah, so you can find me on Player Profiler. You can find my written content there. You can find me on the Sonic Truth Dynasty podcast with Matt Kelly every Tuesday. You can find me on the Goat District on Wednesdays. You can find me on First Class Fantasy with Billy Muzio on Thursdays. And then look out for press coverage coming this June.
All right. That has been My Tiers with Theo Gremminger. Today it was Redraft Wide Receiver. Once again, I am Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist. And this has been the Mad Science Lab podcast. Thanks again, Theo, for joining me. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Have a good day.